You know, I've studied the United Nations. I've studied the OECD that set it up. That was a private banking consortium headed up by the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the House of Windsor, and I guess the House of Orange. That's the Dutch royalty, that's cousins. And when they took Europe over during its reconstruction, they just basically run the place, just like Japan since then. And so when I read the Wall Street Journal or Daily Caller, who are doing great jobs reporting on this, I see what's hiding in plain view. An internet giveaway to the UN. If the U.S. abdicates internet stewardship, the United Nations might take control. It might take control? When the Obama administration announced, see, because it would sound too conspiratorial to say it is, even though it is. Because, see, they pre-inoculate you that this wasn't happening all the years, so it's like going out on a limb to even admit it could happen as it is happening. When the Obama administration announced its plan to give up U.S. protection of the internet, it promised the United Nations would never take control. But because of the administration's naivete, oh, I'm sure, or arrogance, or how about criminal intent, UN control is a likely result if the U.S. gives up internet stewardship as planned at midnight on September 30th. We're talking a month out now. Oh, my gosh. How many days the election? How many 70 days to the election. T-minus 31 days until the internet is taken. And, of course, they'll be on CNN going, the UN was supposed to take over, but it's October 1st, and the internet's still there. There's no censorship. I just have stacks every day as they just warm up the testing all over the world. Arrest people in Germany and France and Sweden. Hire former Stasi brigade commanders to run Facebook tattling to the police. Zuckerberg meets with Merkel. Oh, don't worry, we'll crack down soon, my darling. You read this article. Of course, I know about the ICANN agreement, the UN agreement. I remember 10 years ago when they started this program. The agreement's already been made. Now, let's expand. Daily Caller gets it right. They're the ones digging through the thousands of Soros emails, thanks to DC leaks, which just got censored. Soros document, regulate internet to favor open society supporters. And once you read it, he says the UN's going to run it, and that NGOs like Open Society signed up with the UN should get preferential treatment, placement, and pushing, and that extremism should be filtered out, which they're already doing, extremism. Alexa, 2 years ago, took tens of thousands of libertarian, patriot, conservative, veterans' rights groups, gun groups, anything that was just not total communist, run by a Nazi collaborator, crazy. I mean, that's what it is. Anything not open society just went 80% drop in the supposed traffic we have. Our traffic's only going straight up. They just say we don't even exist. It's everywhere. Dr. Drew's fired in less than a week for saying Hillary looks really sick. I've looked at her record. Just the drugs she's on would kill anybody. And here they are. But see, this should say UN takeover because it's NGOs regulated by the internet. And then TPP only expands the authorization of this. And, of course, they do have related UN internet agenda tied to George Soros. So they do get it. It's just that the headline should be even more hardcore. We should do a story. How the UN takeover of the web is now commencing with George Soros at its head. And so Hillary comes out 2 weeks ago in an email raising money from Hillary Clinton. We showed the articles. It's been mainstream news. And says, we're not going to tolerate the alt-right. And who is the alt-right? Breitbart, lead elephant heading up the Trump campaign. Then she goes and gives a speech, goes after Breitbart, goes after people they know aren't ubiquitous as Drudge. People like Drudge. Even liberals like Drudge. That Drudge is like the biggest newspaper out there. So we're not going to get rid of Drudge. Of course, that's their main target because people know that sounds kind of like a little too loved, too well known. Let's go after Alex Jones. Let's go after Breitbart. Let's go after, and then misconstrue what we say Bannon's this big racist, and now, of course, Trump's KKK. This is the desperateness, but it shows they're really moving into this phase. David Knight, what do you make of all of this? Do you concur, or what would you add as I hand the baton to you? I mean...
Well, yeah, Alex, when you talk about the alt-right, who is the alt-right? It's whoever Hillary Clinton says it is. They define the terms, and then they ban the people that they put into those categories. And we talk about what's going on with the TPP and the TTIP. the worst part about it, I mean, there's a lot of specifics we could talk about, and it is a huge document, but here's the only thing that you really need to know. As Senator Sessions, who did look at this in detail, who is an experienced lawyer, and he prepared a presentation for his fellow members in the Senate who could care less. They didn't bother to even look at the document. They didn't listen to his preparation. But here's the key point, Alex. The TPP, the TTIP are living documents. Now, what does that mean? That means that no matter what these 6,000 pages say.
Means they're open-ended power grabs.
Exactly. Tomorrow, the small committee of unelected, unaccountable people that's going to be not necessarily even any Americans.
Just like Obamacare is a committee and an open, and now they're saying, oh, guess what? Insurance companies are going to quadruple charge and create monopolies and not allow competition in your state. Oh, in fact, 16 states don't even have competition now. Oh, it's going to help the consumer. Oh, it's so liberal. I'm sorry, David, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, well, that's one aspect of it, is that they can change anything that they want to at will, without ever going back and getting any further approval from any of the governments that give them a rubber stamp. And here's the other thing, Alex. Part 2 of that is that they can include and add any nation that they wish to that, which is the way it's being sold to us. TPP is being sold to us as a means of checking China. China is not part of the TPP right now, and Trump got hit when he talked about China. But he understands, because he's been talking to Senator Sessions, that China could be added the day after they approve this. There's absolutely no way to keep them out of the agreement.
Just like they said they never add China to the WTO.
Yeah, exactly. So the whole thing is nothing more than turning over the management of our economy to a small committee of unelected people who are going to control it, just as you had the European Commission controlling the fishing rights off of British waters.
Absolutely. But here's my question for you, then I'm going to hand the baton to you, David. What do you make of the massive intensification of censorship globally, not just here? Is this a test to see what we'll do? There should be congressional hearings. There should be massive uproar over this.
Well, Alex, as you know, the most important thing that we've got going, it's not the only thing we've got going. The most important thing we've got going is our ability to share information and to expose what they're doing. Hillary talks about the dark corners of the net. No, the net is there to expose light on her dark transactions, that she does everything, breaks every law to try to hide. And so they have to get control of the internet. It is truly the high ground. Political speech is the high ground in politics. If you can control the narrative, if you can tell people what's going on without any competition, you create the reality in their minds, and you can hide anything that you want without criticism. We're seeing that right now. We're seeing the establishment press. We're seeing the establishment political parties of both sides.
And more and more they're saying, arrest climate deniers, arrest yes. in the family. I mean, I think they're really trying to normalize their agenda because it's in trouble. I think we're beginning to see major cracks in their whole organization and agencies and patriots leaking more and more info. I think they've gone too far, David. I think they've proven our case for us. I think that they are on the wrong side of history, and the fact that patriots for decades exposed their agenda, that it's now going to be dead on arrival. I'm going to hand the baton to you. Thank you, David Knight.
Thank you, Alex. And you know, we can see that whenever we go to these rallies that they have, just as we did with the abortionists. What do they want to do? They want to stand there with black signs. It had absolutely nothing to say when we were protesting the abortion clinic here in Austin. They had nothing to say. They came up with black signs to try to redact publicly on the sidewalk what we were saying. They didn't want to counter it. They didn't want to argue with it. And we've seen this happen with the vaccination, with the film Vaxxed, with the Tribeca Film Festival. There was other filmmakers who actually came out and said, we want this film silenced. We want it censored. So now you have the press, especially those in the art community, who have always held the First Amendment as a sacred, untouchable thing. And now they're going around at various film festivals, whether it's a film about vaccinations, Vaxxed, or whether it is the film. I just talked to Mark Hall about his film looking at charter schools and worst case examples of that, with the Fatala Gulen network here getting $500 million per year of taxpayer money to run schools. That they've got a network of 1,000 schools all over the world. The other schools outside of America, of course, are explicitly Islamic. And so we look at these various documentaries, like Mark Hall's documentary Killing Ed. They want to keep it out of the film festivals. They don't want to have a discussion, whether it's climate change, whether it's vaccinations, whatever it is.
You're right. Sorry,
exactly. They don't want a discussion. They want to just simply silence you. And it couldn't be anything further from the truth than what we saw from Voltaire. He said, I may disagree with you, but I will defend to the death your right to say what you want to say. They don't want to have that discussion. They want to criminalize it, and they want to censor it. And we see that everywhere. It's one of the things that really concerns me when I look at Gary Johnson. I know that there was a back and forth when you were talking to Jesse Ventura. He's solidly behind Gary Johnson. I don't believe that Gary Johnson is even a libertarian. I don't think the Libertarian Party is libertarian anymore. And I say that as somebody who spent 20 years working with them, who was a lifetime member of the LP. And I'm absolutely disgusted with these people who have sold out their principles.
The last few times he was here, Gary Johnson went from, he looks like Emperor Palpatine in the eyes. He's got the little friendly guy act going on, but when you tell him in person, I'd talk to him, he'd be all right on air, but when I'd talk to him during the breaks, he'd be like, eh.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was just like, whoa. And I was like, I don't ever want him on again. Creepy, creepy, creepy. All right, David, God bless you. Nightly News is tonight, 7 o'clock Central. David Knight, straight ahead. Buckley, tell us about Alexa Pure Breeze, discounted over 25% off as an introductory promotion.
It's the Alexa Pure Breeze. It's an energy-efficient HEPA ion cluster air purification system. It has a 4-stage purification process. It has a HEPA filter, pre-filters, and a carbon-activated filters. And the most amazing thing about it is that it has this patented ion cluster technology that kills airborne microbes with a final byproduct of clean water, not ozone. Because there's a lot of units out there that do that will sterilize the air. They will take out toxins and microbes, but you always come back into the room and you have that ozone smell. And as a matter of fact, if you leave a room sealed and you have one of those running,
toxic.
It is toxic and it's kind of dangerous. So this is non-toxic. It's a beautiful unit. It really looks good. I mean, it will look beautiful in your house in a corner.
The Alexa Pure Breeze, which operates as a fan, it's super quiet, it cleans the air. Every major room in your house really should have one of these.
The cheapest equivalent unit costs $259.95, and there are other units that are up to $899 to $1,000 that do exactly what this unit does, but they're not as quiet because this one has a silent mode which runs at 16 decibels. One thing that I encourage everybody to do is go and just look up online the toxicity of being inside all the time. In this current age, we're inside the vast majority of the time. Hardly do we ever get outside in the sun. We're usually out inside doing something in our office or at home. Houses have all kinds of stuff that's outgassing. I'm not going to tell you what the story is, but just go and Google that and look at a toxicity.
Sure, it's well known. Great job, Alexa Pure. Infowarsstore.com, InfowarsLife.com for all the nutraceuticals. Buckley, thank you so much, my friend.